Just first wrapping up NC State. Just a great night for our program. Just unbelievable home atmosphere, great crowd, great student support, and you know, it was one of those games that it's a game of effort and a game of inches, and you know, a lot of ways we got outplayed. I mean, NC State had the ball for 22 minutes longer than us and had almost 170 more yards, but the only way to overcome that stuff is by winning turnover margin. And you know, we got 3 turnovers. 2 of them really saved us points, and that turned to be the difference in the game. So really proud of our players. I just think we continually just play hard and create breaks through effort. And the play that Demetrius Kemp made on the strip was just an unbelievable effort play. And that play turned out to be a game-changing play for us. And we showed that to our team is just an example of this is why you go hard and burst to the football and play to the whistle. But it was a great night for our program. You know, the 2 greatest challenges in coaching, I think, are getting your team ready after a heartbreaking loss or an emotional win. Of those 2 problems, I'd rather have this one. I've certainly had the first one a number of times. Because the reality of it is it's a very good Duke team that's coming here. They started out 4-0. You know, if you look at common opponents, basically their game with Florida State was identical to our game with Florida State. A 4th quarter game, a tie game. Florida State scored late. Duke had a chance to win it at the end with a Hail Mary that James knocked down, and it was the exact way that our game ended. And then Georgia Tech beat us. And Duke beat Georgia Tech pretty soundly. You know, with a Coach Cutcliffe team, they're always going to be fundamentally sound. They're going to be extremely well coached. Offensively, they're really good. Daniel Jones is one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. The 2 running backs, Wilson and Brown, average, you know, one has 700 yards, the other has over 600. And they average 5.5 and almost 6 yards a carry, respectively. I think T.J. Rahming is one of the most dynamic playmakers in the ACC. He's got 53 catches for 640 yards, and he's a guy a lot of the offense goes through. If you ever aren't covering him, the ball's going there. And because of that, they're really able to spread you out, and they create very good numbers for their run game, and then they've got a very good offensive line and 2 good backs that can beat you. Defensively, this is the best Duke defense that we've faced in my 4 years. They're number 3 in the ACC right now in total defense. You know, they've got a number of returners. The Fields is a really good corner. He's their boundary corner. He started last year with all their other seniors. Saxton is a really good safety. They ask him to do a lot, and he makes plays, you know, on the chalkboard. He makes plays a safety shouldn't make. And Giles Harris is one of the best linebackers in the ACC, has 110 tackles. And Duke is always good, and they'll be well prepared. And like us, they're playing for a lot. And I'm sure this will be a 60-minute, 4-quarter game. It always is. So we look forward to it. And we had a good day of practice today and need a great week of prep as we get ready for our home finale this year. Questions?
Looking at the last 2 games, the defense has really come up even while banged up with some big turnovers that have really helped seal the deal for the team. What does that say about how the defense is starting to play now?
Well, you know, I think the way a defense plays is it has to complement the offense. And the way we were offensively last year, the year before, our defense really had to dominate and get the ball back and create field position. I think with the way we're playing offense now, our defense just has to find ways to get stops. The nature of how we're playing on offense with the tempo we're playing, your defensive numbers are never going to look as good in terms of statistics, but you got to find ways to get stops. Now I'd say this, we did an awful job on Saturday on 3rd downs. I mean, NC State converted 14 third downs. But, you know, we overcame that with 2 turnovers in the end zone. You know, the one on the Kemp strip fumble, and then Sang Bassey's play at the end. And those are game-changing plays. So, you know, we've played a lot of really good offenses this year. It just seems like, for whatever reason, the offenses in the conference are better than the teams that we've played are better than they've ever been. And, you know, we just got to find ways to get off the field. The frustration is we're not getting off the field on third down. You know, turnovers are great when they happen. You can't rely on them. We've got to get more third down stops. But we have come up big. You know, the 2 picks at Syracuse, the 2 fumbles and the pick in the second half at NC State are really the plays that allowed us to win the last 2 games. Without those plays, we probably lose both those games.
Coach, you said the last couple of years that the goal is to play meaningful football in November. And now you've had a lot of locker room celebrations this season. Is there any concern about keeping the team grounded and know that they've got one more game to close out right?
No, because I think we still feel like we're playing for a lot. We like those locker room celebrations. They feel good. It's a great feeling. I think it's one of those natural highs that once you get it, you want it again and again and again. We're not at a point that we're a team that's been jaded by winning, that we don't care how we win. Winning feels good. We're not going to get upset no matter how we win. And we have enough players on our team that didn't win for a long time that they appreciate this. So, you know, I think to finish the season up with an in-state rivalry always helps it too. You know, I think our team is motivated that it doesn't matter who we'd play, but the fact that it is Duke, it is an in-state game. This is the 98th time we've played Duke. It's a big game for them. It's a big game for us.
Does it help you get their attention that you can show them that they just kind of went out and demolished Georgia Tech last week? Does that help maybe any?
Yeah, I mean, I said Duke accomplished something that we couldn't do, and that's beat Georgia Tech. I mean, Georgia Tech beat us by 2 scores, and Duke, that was not even a competitive game in the second half. They completely outplayed them. They moved the ball on them. They stopped them. I mean, Duke's a good football team. They beat a Northwestern team that's, in all likelihood, going to go 9-3 and be nationally ranked. You know, there's not a lot of difference in terms of, I think these are 2 teams at the talent level is somewhere equal. Duke has lost a number of heartbreaking 1-score games. I mean, they lost to Army in a 1-score game, Pitt in a 1-score game, Florida State in a 1-score game. And in those games, we've been fortunate that we've found ways to win 3 of those games this year. So the margin of winning and losing is very, very small. And, you know, Duke is just, they've lost some really close games. Virginia was a 1-score game. So they were 4-0 like we were, and they lost some really heartbreaking games. And, you know, we have found a way to win some of those. And, I mean, you know, the App game, if the kick's an inch higher, if the NC State game, if the ball's extended another 6 inches, I mean, our season looks a lot different. So, like I said, it's a game of effort and a game of inches. And, you know, this year, fortunately, we've been on the right side of those inches.
Does Coach prospect of going 3-0 against in-state teams in a season, does that register with coaching?
No, it's just we want to go 1-0 this week. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, I know NC State last week was talking about being state champs and all that. I mean, that's not, you know, we talk about going 1-0, and, you know, if people in the media want to declare us that afterwards, we'll take that as a compliment, but that is not something we've talked about with the team, about being state champs. It's, you know, App was its separate game with its separate challenges. NC State was its separate game. And now Duke presents its own challenges.
Coach, do you see Daniel Jones as, do you think he's similar to John Wolford, or he can beat you with his arms and legs? And do you think your defense, since they're up against, they see Wolford all the time, that they'll be ready for that?
Yeah, I don't know if having John Wolford as our quarterback helps us get ready for Duke, but Daniel Jones is much bigger. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", 200 whatever pounds. But in terms of his ability to beat you with his arm or his feet, in that way he is similar. You know, that they do some similar concepts that we do. They're a lot of one back. They do a lot of RPO, zone read stuff, power read. They're not scared to run their quarterback. They'll run him. And when they run him, he's very effective. And he's really, really good in third downs and goal line and short yardage situations. And he's a big guy, so he can push the pile. He plays fearless. He's a strong player, and he can make every throw.
Could you see Cade Carney has returned to the depth chart?
Yeah, Cade's, we're trying to get him going. Again, Les, as always, we will get you the injury report on Thursday. Does Steve mail that to you? Email it?
He does now.
Okay. But my guess would be Cade would probably, be in that doubtful to questionable category.
So it's too early to ask what kind of impact or what he's able to do, because
it's hard to tell. Like, he tried to go a little bit today, and we'll just see how he progresses. And I last week I was probably a little bit more optimistic we would have Jesse. We just got to see how Cade feels.
Did Jesse come out of the game feeling good?
He felt fine, and that was kind of the stepping stone game to get him some reps. We played him in nickel and as a punt returner, and he came out of it no worse for it. So, he'll the plan is to play him a little bit more this week.
Coach, what's the biggest challenge coming off an emotional win?
It's just resetting the focus for the week. I think it's human nature that any time that we had never beaten State, that was a really big win. That was an excited locker room. And, when you have moments like that, there's a tendency to want to embrace them and hold on to them and not let go. And what we do, you have to let go. That's why we have the 24-hour rule. And when you have those tough losses, you can't push them away fast enough. And these ones you want to hold on to. But there'll be a time and a place to enjoy it. You don't ever want a loss to cause another loss or a win to cause a loss. And again, our games at Duke, the first year they crushed us. That was a non-competitive game at their place. Year two, we were more competitive with them. We just turned it over. And last year was a four-quarter battle. I mean, that game was a one-score game deep in the fourth quarter until Weaver hit a field goal and Brad Watson had a pick. So this is going to all these games in the ACC are hard games. If you ever don't show, you have no shot. And Duke has played everybody competitively, and it's a heck of a coaching job to lose 6 games in a row and then find a way to beat a team like Georgia Tech. That's a great coaching job, because you're 4-0, you're off to a great start, and then you lose some tough ones, but you keep your team playing, you keep them motivated, and then you beat a team like Georgia Tech. That isn't easy. And again, they're certainly playing for bowl eligibility. It sounds like they may be in a bowl either way because their APR is high enough. But I'm sure in their locker room that, getting to 6 sounds a lot better than 5, and beating an in-state rival and guaranteeing a bowl bid. Both teams are playing for a lot.
Talking about not letting a win become a loss, it seemed like last week they were able to put the Syracuse game behind them pretty quickly. So does that help being able to put this one?
I think when you play NC State and Duke that are in-state rivals, that helps put the last one behind you. I mean, every year, I think those 2 games are, if you talk to our players about the games that have the most meaning to them, in whatever order, it's always Duke and NC State, in some order 1 and 2. Because Duke's our annual crossover, and NC State is in-state interdivisional. And so I think if you talk to our team and you said, okay, what's the number 1 team that you want to beat every year, and the number 2 team, in some order it would be Duke and NC State. And the fact that those are the last 2 games on the schedule, I think, works out great.
Is there maybe an added advantage as Duke has had the triple option back-to-back weeks, maybe in terms of them readjusting?
They play again. Our offense and their offense are somewhat similar in terms of concepts and what we do. So they go against concepts that we run every day in practice year-round. So I don't, they're very well coached on defense. They'll be very well prepared. Their defensive coordinator, Coach Knowles, does a great job. And like I said, I mean, we line up in very similar formations as their offense. We run similar plays. I don't think their preparation, is going to be, if we were a run and shoot or a three-back offense or a power I, maybe it would be a tougher transformation. With what we do and what they defend year-round, I don't think that's too difficult for them.
Mid-season, when Greg Dortch was kind of having like this breakout season, and Tabari had maybe a couple drops and a couple performances he wasn't really thrilled about, could you have foreseen this kind of finish to the season where Tabari kind of stands out the way he has?
Well, Tabari Hines is a good player. Tabari Hines won the starting slot job in preseason camp. So we knew Tabari was good. It was just a matter of, I guess, mentally, emotionally, how did he handle not playing as much? And certainly that was a concern. And I don't know at first if he handled it real well. But then as it went on, he handled it better. We were rotating him in there with Greg. At no point was it all Greg and no Tabari. And we had even talked about creating a package of getting them both on the field together.
That's something you might have to look at doing next season, right?
Yeah, I mean, that next year will be next year.
Yeah.
We always believed Tabari could be a really good player. I mean, Tabari against Utah State had a great game. So, it was just a matter of, okay, could he shake off maybe the disappointment of not playing as much as he did for a few weeks and come back? And he's made the most of his opportunity.
Do you get the sense that those two are relatively supportive of each other?
I do. Greg Dortch is a great teammate. I mean, I think Greg gets as excited as anybody when Tabari makes plays. And I'm sure there's a part of Greg that, as a competitor, this is killing him. But he is very vocal and animated in his support for Tabari, which is neat to see.
Speaking of that, Greg was most excited when Tabari came running off the field after scoring those touchdowns. Does that speak to how close this team is and maybe the special bond that they have?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're not at a point that we're jaded by winning. I think that those are always the challenges as you go on. That the first challenge is building, and then it's sustaining, and then it's to do it in a way that the goal is still winning, that people aren't coming here for selfish reasons. And that's the goal is to win, and you want team-oriented guys and unselfish players to do that. At any point that somebody's numbers and stats become more important than the team winning, then you're going to have problems. And again, winning is still relatively new to us. So I think our players are enjoying it and appreciate it, and we've got to make sure it stays that way. All right, thanks. Hannah, nothing? Last press conference.
So, how much does the wind influence? Because the wind was bad Saturday. So how much does that influence when you know it's going to come down to the fourth quarter and you might have to kick into the wind to win the game?
Well, the question is about how did wind influence the game or have an effect or manage. It was really interesting that NC State decided to kick into the wind in the third quarter to have the wind in the fourth. And so it does influence us. So one of the things I said to Coach Ruggiero is, we got the wind in the third. If anything you really like in the pass game that you're holding back, we probably need to use it in the third. It was really a weird wind, though. It was a swirling wind, and at the field level, it wasn't as bad throwing the football as it was in the kicking game. In the kicking game, it was almost like when the ball got to a certain height, the wind really got it. But at the level that we were throwing the football, it had very little impact on the game. It was really strange. But yes, I thought, late in the game, they probably would have had the ability to hit, if it became a field goal game, that was going to help them because of the fourth quarter.